Creating even the smallest scale video game is a huge achievement, the result of talented artists and programmers, some of which can be the same person, pooling their skills together for years on end to deliver a specific vision to the masses. It results in a labor of love no matter what, and alongside all the reasons you can enjoy playing, chances are the majority of devs have gone one step further, including scores of winks and nods to make their work something special. So with a massive shout out to all the tiny detail lovers over on Gaming Details Reddit, I'm Scott from WhatCulture, and these are 10 completely insane video game details nobody noticed.
First up though, I want to thank today's list sponsor, The Uncertain Light at the End, for helping support the channel. If you're not in the loop, Light at the End is the latest chapter in Meta Publishing and New Game Order's epic sci-fi story-driven game, The Uncertain. A follow-up to The Last Quiet Day, Light at the End picks up with a young human girl called Emily, as she and the player are tasked with navigating an immersive, dangerous sci-fi landscape ruled by machines. Why is this frankly dangerous job up to you, I hear you ask? Well, that's mostly because the rest of humanity has kind of disappeared, and it's up to you to figure out why. Obviously, the vanishing of 99% of humanity is a bit of a big deal, and a bit of a bummer if you ask me, but it's up to you to get to the bottom of the mystery by unraveling puzzles, looking for clues, and hunting down other potential survivors. Exploring the dystopian landscape and trying to piece together little tidbits about what life was like before the robotic uprising, all the while there's this excellent, moody, atmospheric, pulsing score in the background. For a sci-fi fan like me, it's just absolutely perfect. Right now, the game is on sale for $15, or £11.39 if you're in the UK like me, but if you get the game before March 14th, you can nab yourself a 45% discount on this installment and 90% off the first part of the game, so make sure to jump in on that before it's too late. You can try the game for yourself by going to the description and clicking on our links, which will send you straight to the Steam page, and if you do, please let me know how you found it. Like I said, don't forget to get in quick to make the most of that discount, and genuinely thank you very much for helping support this channel and allowing us to do what we do day in, day out. But for now, let's get back to that list.
Number 10. Raindrops resemble the PlayStation face buttons. Astro's Playroom. Astro's Playroom is undoubtedly the PS5's most pleasantly surprising game to date. A free pack-in title that few were expecting anything from, but which turned out to be a smart, content-rich platformer and a reverent love letter to the history of PlayStation. The game is absolutely jam-packed with cute Easter eggs nodding to Sony's most beloved hardware and software, making ingenious use of the PlayStation 5's DualSense controller, especially when the pitter-patter of raindrops on Astro's umbrella can be felt faintly across the controller itself. However, developers Japan Studio did go one level deeper, including a sneaky detail that only the most keen-eyed of players would ever notice. When the raindrops hit a solid floor, look closely and you'll see they form a splash pattern resembling one of the PlayStation face buttons: triangle, circle, X, or square. And yes, you down in the comments, it's totally X, not cross. Number 9. The bullet time meter is 2 stacked bullets. Max Payne 2, The Fall of Max Payne. God, I love Max Payne, and while a lot of the appeal is rightfully attributed to doing almost the entire game in slow motion, there are some more subtle details too. The second title introduced a few refinements to the series' user interface, such as slyly redesigning the distinctive hourglass meter used to measure the player's remaining bullet time. While in the first game it more or less looked like an hourglass, its more elongated design here confirms it's actually supposed to be 2 bullets stacked on top of each other tip to tip. Yes, this is the tiniest of tiny details, but it's almost 20 years since Max Payne 2 came out, and I for one never noticed. Number 8. Food is more expensive at the theater, just like real life. Bioshock. Bioshock might be a masterful feat of sci-fi escapism, but it also includes one tiny detail sure to remind you of actual everyday life. If you frequent the vending machines in the Fleet Hall Theatre, you'll be disturbed to find the exorbitant prices of the food within, especially some creme-filled cakes. The cakes cost up to 40 times what they do in other vending machines across the rest of the game. So we're forced to conclude that somebody at 2K isn't too happy about how expensive snacks are in theaters and cinemas. It's a little known fact that some cinemas make bigger markups on food pricing than anything else, especially popcorn. Holy hell, you wouldn't believe, have a look on Google, but here you can at least hack these machines to make things a little bit more acceptable. If only that was the case in real life. Number 7. Shooting a statue makes it sad. Rainbow Six Siege. The stomach-knotting tension of Rainbow Six Siege requires players to have a laser-pointed focus on the objective at hand. Any wrong move and you've not only given away your position, but possibly doomed your entire team. As such, it's super easy to miss this particular Easter egg. The game's villa map is filled with secrets, the most bizarre of which is hidden within the living room. There you'll find the statue of a topless woman, and if you're bored enough to start shooting her in the face, her facial expression will suddenly change, going from stoic indifference to all-out sadness. It's one of those game details you shouldn't ever really catch in standard gameplay, but as the calling card of a reckless Siege player, it's pretty spot on. Number 6. Electro's facial scars are his mask. Marvel's Spider-Man. Here's a detail that seems obvious in retrospect, but unless you're a big fan of Spidey's comics, you probably missed it completely. Insomniac's Spider-Man features Electro as one of its secondary antagonists, and while a lot of fans were wondering how a more realistic portrayal of the character could possibly include his oversized face mask, Insomniac did find a way. Look closely at Electro's face. Using the photo mode is recommended, and you'll see the villain has a unique scarring pattern. These scars are a direct nod to Electro's cartoonish appearance from the comics, where he wore a yellow angular mask resembling bolts of lightning. Given that Insomniac's Spider-Man is considerably more grounded than traditional comic tone, the developers decided to rework Electro's mask into a physical aspect of his appearance. Insomniac clearly didn't come up with this by themselves though, clearly drawing inspiration from the revamped Electro used in 2009 Spider-Man arc The Gauntlet. Number 5. The Bar's TV is showing the O.J. Simpson case. Duke Nukem 3D. Duke Nukem continues to fade into nothingness, but Duke 3D will always be one of the most iconic and controversial FPS games of all time. Amongst the pushback against its ultra-violent content though, most missed the weirdest flourish of all. In the game's bar level, look up at the TV and you'll see a picture of what looks like a regular traffic report. Look again and you'll notice it's actually an image from the infamous 1994 O.J. Simpson car chase. Duke Nukem 3D started development in the same year, releasing in January 1996 after being worked on by 15 people. Chances are the team watched all of OJ's trial unfurl while they were making this scrappy boundary-pushing game and thought to immortalize the moment. With that in mind, it's not the only reference to OJ throughout the game, as billboards can be found bearing the questions guilty or innocent, with the verdict finally being rendered as not guilty just 3 months before launch. Assumedly by then the devs didn't want to upend what was already included, so Duke shipped with these weirdly timely real-world references that most people totally missed. Number 4. Geralt has the Kama Sutra attached to his saddle. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Despite the Witcher series' intense fandom, only recently have people discovered an extra wrinkle to Geralt's character hiding in plain sight. On the White Wolf saddlebag is a book with glagolitic text written on the front, actually translating to Kama Sutra. The Kama Sutra is obviously the legendary Indian Sanskrit book on sex and intimacy, most often referred to in pop culture as a sex manual. Fitting for Geralt, this isn't the only time glagolitic text is featured in the game, but it is by far the cheekiest instance indeed. Fun fact though, contrary to popular belief, the Kama Sutra is more concerned with good living and relationship nurturing rather than teaching you how to pull off an acrobatic backflip sex move. And there was me thinking it was where Geralt and Yen got the idea of having sex on top of a unicorn. Number 3. That super subtle Fahrenheit 451 reference. Fallout New Vegas. The Fallout franchise is jam-packed with references to classic dystopian and post-apocalyptic media, though an especially sneaky one which might have passed you by is in Fallout New Vegas. In the game's Old World Blues add-on, players who explore the Big MT will find a book pulping tube which can be used to destroy propaganda books and goes by the name Library Processing Unit 232.7. As innocuous as this might sound, it's actually a specific nod to one of the most legendary pieces of dystopian fiction ever written. If you consider 232.7 as temperature in Celsius, then convert it to Fahrenheit, it becomes 451 degrees, or 450.86 if we're being precise. Rounded up, this is a reference to Ray Bradbury's 1953 sci-fi classic Fahrenheit 451, the name coming from Bradbury's assertion that the ignition temperature of paper is exactly 451 degrees Fahrenheit. Someone in Fallout New Vegas clearly ain't a fan of all those revolutionary ideas hidden in them there books. Number 2. BJ Blazkowicz's tattoo spells Doom numerically. Wolfenstein: The New Order. Though it's no secret that Wolfenstein and Doom love to drop references to one another, both of them having been created at id Software, Wolfenstein: The New Order includes a more subtle visual that ties everything together way more directly. After BJ Blazkowicz infiltrates the Nazi death camp Bellica, he receives an identifying arm tattoo, containing the numbers 4, 15, 15, and 13. At first glance, it seems like a random string of numbers, but there's so much more. If you convert these numbers to letters, they read out Doom. creating yet another enticing link between these two legendary first-person shooter protagonists. In more recent years, designer John Romero has gone further, suggesting that Blazkowicz and Doomguy are directly related, having the same lineage both literally and spiritually. Maybe someday, through some sort of time-travel-y intergalactic connection, the pair might eventually team up. And number 1, the brainwashing rooms have air conditioners installed backwards to make them hotter. Far Cry 5. Far Cry 5's antagonist is of course the charismatic doomsday cult leader Joseph Seed, and because his sheer presence alone isn't unsettling enough, Ubisoft decided to include a hint to the full extent of his insidious manipulation. In one of the brainwashing rooms in Seed's compound, attentive viewers might notice that the air conditioners themselves are fitted into the wall backwards. Instead of cooling the room, this ensures that more heat is in fact pumped into it. The added heat will raise those who are trapped inside's blood pressure and making them far more susceptible to the cult's will. It's a subtle act of manipulation, like a police detective turning up the heat while grilling a suspect to throw them off balance, and a detail so subtle you'd never expect to see it in a Far Cry game. And those are our picks for various awesome hidden details that hardly anybody saw. Let me know your favorites down in the comments below, and please check out the WhatCulture Gaming Podcast. For now, I've been Scott from WhatCulture.com, and I'll catch you soon.